going on, guys? Love Smash, back with an all new video for you guys today, and in today's video I'm finally getting you guys my top 10 fan requested DLC character discussion. Now before we begin, I want to go over some very important things. Now I know a lot of you guys have been waiting to see this video. I've been talking about it for a while. The reason it took so long was because originally I had my first video done, it was about 95% done, and it ended up getting deleted before I can finish it, so I was forced to start all over, so that's why the video took so long to put out. Second thing I want to say is, whether you guys are subscribed to my channel or you've come across my original top 10 of my picks for DLC, in that video I was promoting a poll that I made on strawpoll.com. Now not only was this poll important to get results for this video, it was good to get a sense of the fan community to see how you guys were voting, and see, like, maybe we could predict which characters could be on the way as DLC. So like I just mentioned to you guys, the original video ended up getting deleted, so I do want to apologize for that. I don't know how it happened, but it did, and it sucks because all my time and effort that I put into that video ended up going to waste and I was forced to redo it. So I do want to apologize for taking so long to get this video out in the first place, but I was very busy in my personal life. I was working on other videos, so I had to put this to the side until I had some free time to do it. Now with that in mind, I do want to bring up two very important things, and they are that when I started work on the original video, I ended the poll on the first week in May, which was a Sunday. I think it was the 3rd, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's when I stopped taking any more votes. I ended the poll and I started work, and at that time the poll had, I can't remember the exact number, but it had over 3,000. So I want to take the time to thank everyone who voted, but unfortunately anyone who voted after that Sunday, like after May 3rd, I did not count any of those votes, but sorry. Once the poll was closed, it was closed. To keep it as fair as possible, I stopped at that point, and that's where I'm continuing this video today. Now to say a few more things. The first one, with this straw poll, I included a 1 vote per character limit on this vote, meaning a person could only vote for one character and that is it. They couldn't do multi-votes or anything like that, trying to keep it as fair as possible. The second thing is that I tried to include as many characters as humanly possible on this list, but unfortunately strawpoll.com limits you on the amount of characters that could be listed, so I got to fill about 30 lines with characters, which is why you saw some characters like this character or this character on some lines. But I really regret using straw poll for that reason, because it limited you on how many things you could list, and because the votes were not secretive at the end. I didn't want anyone to see the results, but before I figured this out, the video was already up, so too late to do it then. And the third thing is that these are not my picks. I'll repeat myself again. These are not my picks. These are the results of the people who voted on the poll. That is it. I did not choose these, because I know there's always someone in the comments saying, why didn't you include this character on the top 10? It wasn't in my power. These were up to you guys. Okay, I think I got everything I wanted to say out of the way, so last thing I will say before I start is, if you guys want to see picks number 30 through 11 and who ended up making it, you can click the link in the comments and description. It will link you to my Twitter and you can see the results there. But let's dive in and talk about your guys' picks for the top 10 fan requested DLC characters, and I hope you guys enjoy the picks. So let's start it off with number 10. You guys wanted to see the Inklings. And I don't think it comes as any surprise that a lot of people want to see the Inkling boy and girl in Smash Bros. As playable characters. Even before Splatoon came out, people were saying it's the perfect way to promote for Splatoon. They add them in the game, it builds hype, it'll sell a lot of copies of Splatoon, and it's a perfect way to represent for Nintendo's newest IP. Now, since Splatoon has actually come out, it has sold extremely well. It sold over 1 million copies already, and it seems like another big winner for Nintendo. Now, an ongoing debate is that a lot of people are saying, well, we already have the Inkling Mii costumes, so how would the Inklings be playable on their own? It would be too confusing to have them both on stage. That automatically deconfirms them as playable characters. Now, I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on this whole situation. Now, no doubt, great moveset potential for the Inklings. It seems like one of Nintendo's new big IPs they can definitely make a franchise out of over the next few years. There'll probably be another Splatoon game, considering it sold so well. But I think by the time Smash 5 rolls around, and you're probably saying, what makes you think there's going to be a Smash 5? Of course there's going to be a Smash 5. Smash is one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. I'm sure when the next-gen console comes out, there'll be a Smash 5, and I think that's the best time to make them playable characters. Now, I know a lot of people may disagree with me, but I just think by the time Smash 5 comes around, Nintendo's going to be looking for new franchises and new characters to represent. The Inklings would be perfect. I feel like the Smash ballot is more better left for characters who fans have been requesting since the Melee days, going back all those years and and years and years. So I feel like we got the costumes at the moment. I feel like let's let the Inklings be the new big character when Smash 5 rolls around. So with number 10 out of the way, let's move on to pick number 9 with Roy. Now there's no need to even go into Roy. Roy's already been confirmed. Roy was revealed a few weeks ago. We got Roy in the game already, so no need to say anything more about him. So let's move on to pick number 8 with one of many third-party characters on this list with Bomberman. And normally when you hear a third-party character request for Smash Bros, many characters are very unrealistic choices. However, Bomberman is one of those characters that's a very realistic option here. Here's a character who made his first debut in 1983. He's been around for 30 plus years. There's been many games in the Bomberman franchise. The whole series itself has sold over $10 million in sales. Bomberman himself has appeared in over 70 different games, long history with Nintendo, a character a lot of people consider very popular, very highly requested for Smash Bros, icon of gaming, mascot of the company Hudson Soft, which was a big company back in the day, but since then has went bankrupt and was bought by Konami. Bomberman's still relevant. His last game came out in 2014. It was Bomberman for iOS. So here we have a character, great moveset potential, and with everything I just mentioned, he definitely has an edge over other third-party characters that people are requesting. Now, do I think Bomberman is a character that's ranked number 1 on the Smash Bros. Fighter ballot, beating out all the other Nintendo characters that people are requesting, along with other third-party characters? No, I don't. But I will go on record by saying he's definitely a very viable option if they wanted to add another guest character, and he's definitely got the history and stuff to back it up. I don't know how the voting's going to turn out, but Bomberman's definitely a good option. Will he make it? I don't know. Now let's move on to pick number 7 with yet another third-party character with Shovel Knight. And Shovel Knight's a character, surprisingly enough, a lot of people want to see in. I've been seeing many requests for him. And he's a fairly new character. He made his debut last year in 2014 with the first game, and since has only had one game, which originally started out as a Kickstarter project, has since been ported to many other consoles, including PS4, which actually had Kratos from God of War as a guest character, and Battletoads made a guest appearance in the Xbox One version, and the game has overall been very well received. Now, something a lot of fans keep bringing up when it comes to Shovel Knight is that Yacht Club Games, which is the company behind Shovel Knight, they're the ones that developed and published the game, they go on Twitter and they have been pushing Shovel Knight to be in Smash Bros, just as many other indie companies have been doing. For example, WayForward is pushing Shantae, the company that made Quoll from Cave Story is pushing him, the company that made Gunvolt is pushing him. Ever since the ballot came into play, many indie companies have been stepping up trying to get their characters in. And it's easy to see why, because from a standpoint, having their character in Smash Bros would be a great honor, and from a financial standpoint, it would pay off very handsomely for them because it's such great publicity. Meaning like if Shovel Knight was hypothetically in Smash Bros and somebody saw him and may not known who he was, they do research about him, they find out he's from this game, they end up playing the game and buying it, and the company makes money, so it's like a win-win for them. Now, I wanted to say a couple things about him. Now, no doubt, he would fit perfectly in Smash Bros. You've got a moveset for him that's practically written for him, and he seems like an overall cool character, even though I have not had the opportunity to play the game yet. Now, I just wanted to say two things very quickly about him. Now, one complaint that a lot of people keep bringing up is that Shovel Knight has not been ported to Japanese audiences yet. So that's something that may affect him when it comes to the voting. While here in America, he's getting a lot of votes. For example, there was this photo of a poll that one website put out. It was not Nintendo, it was a random website, and he was ranked number 1 on the list. So in America here, a lot of people are voting. However, over in Japan, he may not be getting a lot of votes because people may not know who he is or haven't had the chance to even play the game. So he might be hurt there when it comes to the voting. Now, does that mean he can't get in? Of course not. He still has a chance to get in because they are working on the game, Yacht Club Games, to port it to Japanese audiences. So if it gets in there in time before the ballot ends in October, maybe Shovel Knight will have a chance because Sakurai did state it's coming down to quote-unquote fan service. Now, the second thing I wanted to say is only personal preference. You guys can believe and request any character you want. This is just how I feel. Now, Shovel Knight's a cool character, like I said, but he's not a character that I'm personally requesting or think is like worthy of Smash Bros. Because when I think of terms of third-party characters, I normally think of characters that have made a big impact in gaming, like the ones we already have, like Ryu, Sonic, Pac-Man, Mega Man, and even Snake. Characters like that, ones who have big franchises, they're very popular, they're very well known, they're mascots of their gaming company, they're overall icons of gaming. So that when I think of third-party characters, I try to think of characters that can match them in popularity and just overall iconicness, if that's even a word. But no doubt, Shovel Knight is a cool character. I would have no problem if he gets in. You never know, maybe Sakurai will say, let's include an indie character to represent our relationship with indie games, and Shovel Knight has sold very well. It's just announced they sold over 700,000 copies, so he's very cool, but I just think of other third-party characters, but like I said, it is going to come down to fan service, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see how the ballot turns out. Moving on to pick number 6 is Crystal, and here's a character that a lot of people have wanted in for a very long time, going all the way back to Smash Brawl. People have been requesting her, and it's very strange because a lot of people really did think she stood a good shot to be in Smash 4, and then she wasn't included. So why is that? And who really knows, but Crystal is definitely a character that could be a very unique addition to the roster compared to other Star Fox characters we've had. They can do a lot of things. They can give her guns, grenades, her staff as a weapon in her moveset. They can make her final smash like her flying in the R-Wing, or maybe like riding in on the giant pterodactyl from Star Fox Adventures. There's a lot they could do there with her. Now, as far as ranking her chances of being included as DLC, I think she stands a pretty good chance based on the fact that she's been requested for such a long time, and of how dedicated her fan base has been. So who knows, maybe in a couple months we'll see Crystal officially revealed and added to the roster after all these years. Moving on to pick number 5 is another character that's been highly requested with Isaac from Golden Sun. A couple of my subs I know are big fans of him and really want to see him in. Now here's a character a lot of people have complained that he would just be an average sword fighter and there's nothing unique about him, but they would be wrong because with all his Psi energy attacks, no doubt Isaac would be a very unique addition to the roster and be a very unique sword fighter as well. And remember, Isaac is no longer an assist trophy in Smash 4, which makes him fair game to be a playable character. Now, he's just like Crystal in a sense where they're both characters that a lot of people have been requesting for a long time, and they really did think they were both going to be in Smash 4. Unfortunately, neither of them were added to the roster. Isaac, I think as well, stands a very good shot here, is on my top 10 as well. I think he's got a huge fan base, and a lot of people want to see some Golden Sun representation, so I'd put him high there as well, and who knows, maybe we could see Isaac added as DLC too. Now moving on to pick number 4 is Wolf, and besides Roy, he was the only other character on this top 10 that you guys voted in who was a former cut veteran. And just like with Roy and Mewtwo and Lucas, a lot of people are holding out hope that Wolf will return as well. Now, I wanted to bring something up, and this is an interview that Sakurai recently did. Now, this has led a lot of people to believe that Wolf isn't going to be back over the next few months as DLC, but he still has a shot on the Smash Bros. Fighter ballot. Sakurai said, quote, "We've received an extremely large number of votes, but of course Lucas, Roy, and Ryu were in development even before the ballot was created. I had a grasp on their popularity and demand though. From now until the end, it's going to be fan service." Now, a lot of people saw this and took this as, well, that means DLC is done for the next few months and the only characters that are going to be added next are the ones on the ballot. So that actually might be true considering we did just get 3 character reveals with Lucas, Roy, and Ryu, so we may not get any more characters until the ballot ends. However, on one hand, I'm not 100% sold that that's true, because knowing Sakurai, he'll say this now, and then in 2 months we'll get a Nintendo Direct, and there'll be a trailer for Wolf or something. So I don't know if I'm 100% sold, but if it is true, okay, I guess we'll have to wait till the ballot. Now, when it comes to Wolf being on the ballot and possibly getting in, I know a lot of people are voting for him, and are probably going to vote for him even more now with this news out, so he probably does stand a pretty good chance, but when I think it comes to the ballot, I would rather see a new character rather than a returning veteran, but that's just my opinion. Now, moving on to pick number 3 with one of my personal favorites, and I know a big favorite of yours, and another third-party character with Rayman. And if you guys saw my original top 10, I stated Rayman was one of the only exceptions I had when it came to a third-party representative. Now, I went on a whole thing before saying a character needs to be well-known, from a big franchise, iconic, the mascot of their company. Now, Rayman may not be the most iconic character or most recognizable, but he has made a huge stake in gaming. The games have sold over 25 million in sales, and if you even want to throw the Rabbids spin-off in there, they sold about 14 million as well. So that's almost 40 million in sales with the whole entire Rayman franchise. He is the mascot for Ubisoft, which is a very big and well-known gaming company, and the big thing is Rayman is already in Smash Bros. We have the Rayman trophies, and still no explanation of why they're there. People obviously want him in the game, going back even before Artyomny's fake Rayman leak, how hyped everyone got when the whole thing with the Nintendo of Canada employee possibly slipping, even though that turned out to be fake. People want him in. He's high on my ballot. He was number 1 on Sonic Toast's ballot. I've been seeing tons of requests for him. Now, like I said, he may not be the most iconic, but I think he stands the best chance because he's already in Smash Bros. In some capacity, and they have permission to use the trophies. Ubisoft sent them the model, so why not just go the extra mile and make Rayman playable? He's by far one of the characters that would actually fit perfectly in the Smash Bros. Universe. Easy moveset to make. It's practically written for him. A lot of fans really want to see him in still. They have permission to use the trophies. They have the model to work from. Why not just go the extra mile and make him a playable character? Like I said, he may not be the most recognizable third-party character. He's not on a level of like Sonic or Pac-Man, but based on everything I mentioned earlier, he seems like the most logical choice, and I would not be shocked if he was added as a third-party rep via DLC. Now moving on to the second pick with the last third-party character with Banjo and Kazooie. Now remember earlier in the video I said there was one Microsoft-owned character that could stand a chance, even though it's very, very slim that it would happen? Well, that was Banjo and Kazooie. Now, we all know the history with Nintendo. They put out some of the best platformers of all time with Banjo Kazooie, Banjo Tooie, some of the most well-known Nintendo characters at the time with Rare when they were a part of Nintendo. However, since then, in the early 2000s, Rare was bought by Microsoft and since then has done nothing with the franchise. Now, as you guys know, if you saw my top 10, I'm a big supporter of Banjo Kazooie. I would love to see them in Smash, even though I see it as being very slim. Now, what got everyone hyped up was when Phil Spencer, who's the head of Xbox, stated that it would be cool to see Banjo and Kazooie in Smash Bros. And saying that we worked with Nintendo on Rare IP before, no issues. So this got everyone hyped and everyone was like, holy crap, Banjo Kazooie are going to be in Smash Bros. Now, he didn't come out and say that. He only said it'd be a cool idea. He never said they're working with Nintendo. He never said it's happening. He only said it's a cool idea. But of course, that was enough to get everyone crazy hyped, including myself, because you guys know how I feel about Banjo Kazooie. They were on my top 10. Even though I said they were slim, I'm still a big supporter and think it would be a miracle and one of the coolest things that happened if they were included in Smash. I'm a supporter on ukulele, I love the classic games, and Banjo Kazooie in Smash would just be a dream come true for many fans out there. They would fit absolutely perfectly, they have the long history with Nintendo, but it just becomes a question, would Nintendo negotiate with a rival gaming company with Microsoft and do this? Because Microsoft sees it as like an opportunity for free publicity, and Nintendo sees it as an opportunity to have one of their formerly owned, very popular characters to be in Smash finally. Like I said, it's going to take a miracle, but let's hope for one. Now moving on to pick number 1, you guys wanted to see King K. Rool. He was the number 1 pick with the most votes, and for good reason. A lot of people have been requesting King K. Rool, going all the way back to the Melee days. People have been wanting to see him for such a long time, and to me, this is what the fighter ballot represents. A character normally who wouldn't be in Smash Bros., who fans have been requesting for such a long time, finally can get his opportunity here. And King K. Rool, like I said earlier, there was one character I saw as a lock for Smash. King K. Rool is that lock. He's a character that's been requested for so long, I would be totally surprised if he wasn't included as DLC at this point. Many fans have complained in the past there's not a lot of Donkey Kong reps, there's not a lot of villains, there's not a lot of big characters, and King K. Rool fits all of those categories, so I think he's practically a shoo-in to be DLC. So guys, there you have it. Those are the picks that you guys made. Those are the top 10 fan-requested characters. So I hope you guys like the picks, and I hope you guys are happy on how the votes turned out. And I want to thank you guys yet again, because I couldn't have made this video without your help. Now, before I end this video, I wanted to talk about some stuff, give you guys my thoughts and opinion on it, and go over some things that have popped up over the past few days, weeks, and months regarding DLC and how many characters we could potentially get. So I want to go over a couple things that Nintendo and Sakurai let us know. Now, first, a representative from Nintendo America has stated they are considering third-party characters on the ballot by saying, quote, "I can certainly understand your interest if third-party characters are eligible for the Smash Bros. Fighter ballot. I want to assure you that you are able to submit any video game character for this ballot. While we are unable to guarantee your suggested character will become a Smash Bros. Fighter, rest assured we do take all feedback into consideration." So they're accepting them, but they can't guarantee the character will make it in. Now, I want to go by something Sakurai said. He stated, "Note that making new fighters is a huge process, so we won't be able to make that many." Now, we currently had 4 characters as DLC so far, so we don't know how many more we could potentially get. Now, in an interview Sakurai has just did, he gave us kind of like a rough number. He stated, "From now until the end, it's going to be fan service, but I can't keep the development team together forever, so there's only going to be several more characters. I ask for your patience as we need time to develop more content." Now, for those of you guys who don't know the definition of several, it states more than 2, but not many. Now, the reason I brought that up is because a lot of people are under the impression that we're going to be getting 10 or 20 more DLC characters, which is nuts. We currently have 53 characters on the roster, including DLC, 55 in total by counting the Mii Fighters as 3 separate characters, so that's 55. That's an awful lot of characters for this game, and we're even getting more with the ballot. So if I was going to make a rough estimate, I would probably say we can get anywhere from 3 to 5 more characters, and people are probably saying, what, that's it? But you guys got to remember, we have a large roster already. Sakurai put out one hell of a game, he's making more DLC. I mean, how many characters do you really expect to get? At one point, Nintendo's going to say, okay, we added enough DLC, let's stop, let people enjoy the game, and let's start work on Smash 5. And you gotta remember, Sakurai put out one hell of a game, he's doing DLC, the dude is probably exhausted. Let him get done with DLC and take like a 5-year vacation. You also have to remember the team is much smaller than the team that initially worked on Smash Bros, and they're working on other stuff besides just characters. They're doing classic stages, Mii costumes, tourney mode, and who knows what else they could be planning. So that's why I think anywhere from 3 to 5 characters is a good estimate and a number of characters we could get from the results of the Smash Bros Fighter Ballot. Now, how many of those characters will be third-party, I have no idea, but I think we'll be lucky enough to get one more, because you gotta remember, we currently have 4 of them in the game already, and they're 4 of the most iconic third-party characters ever. And let's not forget that Smash Bros is still a Nintendo game. I feel like a lot of people forget that, especially with the Fighter Ballot out now. There's tons of deserving classic Nintendo characters that deserve a shot. Sakurai has always stated when it comes to third parties, it's got to be a very special situation, and it's a lot of hoops to jump through to negotiate with the company in order to get the character, so keep that in mind. But those are just my thoughts regarding DLC and how many characters we could get. But anyway, guys, that is the video for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I'm sorry for taking so long to put this video out. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and like always, if you guys are fighting game fans and you want the latest news and speculation on games like Smash Bros, Mortal Kombat, Pokken Tournament, and Street Fighter, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter. The link will be in the comments and description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon with a brand new video.